He'll be recorded. And for all of you to watch online later today or later as you want to review it and or pass it on. It's a big community. It's a big bunch of people who want to help each other learn more about Tableau. This is Stephanie, one of your co-leaders. She is coming from Plant Moran. Has got a lot of experience. Used to work with Cherry Creek Schools out there in Colorado. And has been using Tableau for a long time. She makes it to a lot of concerts, but she also has a lot of clients to visit. And today she's visiting one of those clients during the same time that came up for this meeting. And then, of course, you've got me. My avatar, of course, is Cookie Monster. If you've seen this before, I do love cookies. I feel really great to work with some great colleagues here at my office to use Tableau. We started here in the school district in 2015. Now we're on to the cloud. Haven't looked back. I'm also coaching this season, not 5-on-5 now, but I coach here in Seattle, where you can also find a pastry map if you're a fan of donuts. You can look for that pastry map on my LinkedIn page. But if you also want to be a Tableau leader, looking for co-leads, we could have many more. And if you want, just reach out to us. No prior experience being a leader is necessary, just a love of the data fam. Things that are Tableau. You don't have to be an experienced Tableau user either. We plan meetings. We meet about once a month and doesn't take up too much of your time, about 2 to 3 hours a month. So feel free to reach out. The events we've got in addition to today coming up, we've got December, January, March. Of course, the May is going to be the Tableau conference. So we hope you enjoy and attend that. And then we'll be in June. We can add more as we get more people who say, hey, look, I've got this really neat thing I want to share. Some of the upcoming events are going to be around Tableau Prep, probably around Tableau Cloud now too. Some of those folks that are thinking about migrating there. We're also going to have some more beginning areas because we have a wide variety of users. And we want to make sure people feel comfortable regardless of their experience or use using Tableau. And it is a big data fam. It's terrific. You can connect with people all around the world, literally all around the world, though I haven't connected with anybody in Antarctica. All the other continents I've got covered so far. And yeah, keep saying hello. Welcome from Illinois, welcome from Michigan. We've got folks from all over, and that they're all part of our data family here. And if you need help with things, we're here to help, as well as your Tableau sales folks. You can see here, these links are ones that I'll drop in the chat here one by one. Let me just get organized here. You've got the Salesforce one here, which will get you to the analytics page. I'll drop that in the chat. And I'll drop more in the chat later. But all sorts of things are here available to you. Community, more videos, all ways for you to learn more about Tableau. Whether you are experienced or inexperienced, we hope that there's always something there for you to find and that you to enjoy. It is a huge community. We have now lots of different forums, user groups, people all around the world using it. If you haven't yet joined, if you have access, I should say, if you have access to the Slack software, there's a large community on Slack that you can join and also learn from others, as well as just answer or ask and get questions answered to you. For you and us as K12 people, there's a whole bunch of places to go as you begin your journey in Tableau or continue your journey in Tableau from an early developer to a more advanced developer. Lots of opportunities, competitions, learning places. Some of these things, such as the forums, where you can learn, data skills pledge, learning more from there, Tableau Public, which we'll explore in a minute. But in essence, we just want you to be able to learn, inspire, and grow. There are specific courses you can take as well. If you are getting ready early days or even more advanced days to work in Tableau for yourself. And these courses then can lead you to certifications in Tableau that you can get and put on your resume. And these certifications are now in what's called Trailhead Academy. You may have done certifications before, got your Tableau desktop certification or your server certification. These things still exist, but now they've moved to what's called Trailhead Academy. And you can see here, there are certain dates now. If your certification expires, want to make sure you get it updated again. Just make sure you've connected and logged in with a Tableau login into Trailhead Academy. As Tableau continues to integrate with Salesforce, a lot of these things you'll see are moving to a Salesforce platform. If you haven't yet gotten certification, here is what it costs in essence. And also, there's a lot of things online to help you prepare to get that certification. Videos, how-to guides, all sorts of things as you, depending on what kind of learner, more visual learner, or read from the text. There are a lot of different ways that you can learn to get your certification. And this is my favorite, talking about Tableau Public. Tableau Public has great inspirations, inspired me a lot on different vizzes of the day. And we're going to take a few of them today, look at a few of them. The Tableau Public has a lot of great things where you can practice. You can upload your data. You can download other people's visualizations and use them as a template for things that you want to explore how to do. You could use it for your own authoring for public displays. You can link it to your Tableau Public. A lot of schools use Tableau Public, their Tableau Public, to make their kind of demographic and other data as a public-facing element. Instead of trying to put it onto their own website, they just make a link to the Tableau Public website. Great way to do that. And vizzes of the day. Today is International Country Music Fans and International Country Music Day. Go ahead and in the chat, type your favorite country music band and let us know if you are, which viz is more your country music style. Are you more a radio listener? Are you looking for the roots? Addison Kelso, ballerina all day. Nice on the radio. Terrific. Don't be shy. Go ahead. Share it. This is where you get to practice. This is you get to practice putting in the chat, typing things out. Chris Stapleton. All right. Classic rock. That's all right. It's just not classic rock day today. Gianna loves the 90s country rock. Oh, I love that too. Oh, yes. We got Chris Jansen. We've got all sorts of things coming in. So, yes, you all will be able to celebrate International Country Music Day. Sorry about the classic rock fans or the new wave fans. You have a different day. But if it's not, country music's not your thing, it is also National Monte Cristo Day. And so are you a fan of the Monte Cristo sandwich? Or are you more of a fan of the Monte Cristo book? Go ahead and let us know. Are you sandwich people? Are you book people? Both, says Carol. All right. As well as Sarah. Sandwich. Okay. It's a tough choice. I agree, Lewis. It's a tough choice. It's a tough choice. Sandwich or book. Sandwich or book. And as well, it is Constitution Day. Oh, I like Lewis liked the sandwich while reading the book. Very good, Lewis. So it's Constitution Day. And some of the things about our Constitution in the United States here are in the news. So I remember that today is Constitution Day. Celebrate the Constitution, the original, the first 10 amendments, and all the amendments since. But today, you have the opportunity to have fabulous prizes. Here we go. Deona says the Smithsonian is now having a part of the Constitution on display starting today. Yes, terrific. So if you're in DC, head out that way and make sure you see that. But today we've got fabulous prizes for you. Just for being here, you have an opportunity to win up to $50 in the Tableau store. We'll be giving away a couple of gift cards today. So make sure you stay all the way through if you can for an opportunity to get those gift cards. And we'll have a nice... got the wheel here. Where's my wheel? Oh, I got to stop sharing there. We have our wonderful wheel of names here. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to add your names here. We'll spin the wheel, and that's how you'll know you're a winner. Now we've done our announcements. I've done enough talking. Now let's hear from you. Now you don't have the audio here, but you do have the chat. We really want to hear what's going on in your world. Have you had a new job starting this year? Have you had some great successes with Tableau? Who cares? We do. So share it out. What's going on in your lives? I'll start by sharing. This past week, I got to go to the graduation ceremony of my niece in London. I'm very proud of her. She's a newly minted BA in archaeology, and she graduated from University College London. Lewis started a new job. Oh, terrific. Congrats, Lewis. Hope it's going well. Oh, and thanks for, yes, thank you. Congratulations to my niece. She's not watching today, but I'll share that information with her. Others have nice things to share. Your birthday coming up. Any September birthdays out there? Job opportunities for others? Well, thank you for those that shared. Keep on sharing it. We want to hear the good news, and we're hearing the news about you. And now the opportunity for the first cards here. Let me first grab all of the names. Actually, we're going to do this after. I'll come back to this. While the presenters, I'll do the names, and we'll do the gift cards after we hear from the presenters. And right now, we're going to hear from our first presenters about attendance matters. We have some terrific folks. Rhode Island Department of Education, the Rhode folks. They're all together in a conference room over there. Let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Santiago Guerrero. I'm a data analyst here at the Rhode Island Department of Education. I'm joined here by my colleagues, Peg Boda. She's a research specialist here in Rhode Island. She's been working on chronic absenteeism like I don't know, many years before it was cool. Yeah. And I'm also joined by Maria Pedraza. She used to be an attendance officer at a district. Now she works at Rhode as an attendance improvement fellow. And Peg is gonna talk a little bit about the chronic absenteeism in Rhode Island, like the initiatives, and Maria is gonna help me. Like while I show the dashboard, we're gonna she's gonna show how she's been using, and she used those dashboards in the field to inform decisions. So before starting, probably most of all of you know what chronic absenteeism, but like
I can say that in Rhode Island, as many other states, about 90% of the states define it the same way, which is that chronic absenteeism is the percentage is 10% or more of school days that the student missed, regardless of his excuse or inexcused during the school year. So typically, no more than 2 days should be for an excuse, or per month. 2 days per month should be not allowed. It should not be happening. So any student that incurs in more than 2 days a month of excuse or inexcused absent is considered to be chronically absent.
So hi, I'm Peg. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of the history of chronic absenteeism in Rhode Island, because it's, Santiago said it's really cool right now, but back in the day, really everybody was looking at truancy, right? They wanted to know who are the kids that are unexcused. So what we found in Rhode Island was that all of the suburbs would send in notes. We're going to go to France for a week, and nobody realized that chronic absenteeism was an issue back in the day. So in terms of Rhode Island, in 2008, we were even able to get daily attendance by developing in-house and automated data transfer, so that every night we were getting data from our district. So we wouldn't have been able to do all the work we're doing today had that automated data transfer not actually have been developed in-house. And then as early as 2011, only 6 states were even tracking chronic absenteeism, and Rhode Island was one of them, and we started to actually publish that every year. In 2014, for those of you, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the statewide longitudinal data system project and program that's run through the federal government, but we have longitudinal data systems grants, and we were able to develop a data system that connected K12 to post-secondary in the workforce, so that we were able to publish our first data story, which looked at the impact of chronic absenteeism in high school and how that impacted college persistence. So we were able to see very, very early on that chronic absenteeism was indeed an issue. Still, nobody really seemed to care. And then in 2015, the federal government started to say that chronic absenteeism mattered, and made sure and mandated that states actually included that in their accountability systems. The following year, we published another data story that looked at the impact of chronic absenteeism in kindergarten on all kinds of measures going into elementary and middle school. We're able to find out all the detrimental effects of chronic absenteeism. In 2017, again, in-house, we developed something known as the nudge tool. What this did was actually, it was a free tool offered to school districts to allow them to identify early on students that were on track to be chronic absentee, chronically absent, and they could actually send out either backpack letters or nudge parents via texts, kind of like the same thing that you'll see in, like, I don't know if you get the same electrical bills that we do that say, here's where your neighbors are and here's where you are. And it's not meant to shame them, but to try to encourage families to want to make sure that their kids go to school so that they have the same opportunities as everybody else. In 2019, we actually offered that tool to everybody in the state free of charge. Now it's used by a good 80% of all school districts and schools, if not more. And then 2020 hit and COVID hit. And then all of a sudden chronic absenteeism soared. Everybody started to realize how important chronic absenteeism was. And then all of a sudden Rhode Island was like, oh, look, this matters. As all of the other states are now saying it really, really matters. And we launched the Attendance Matters campaign. We could not have done, and Santiago's going to walk through a lot of these dashboards now, without Tableau, we wouldn't have been able to develop these, he wouldn't have been able to develop these amazing tools that are now literally spotlighted across the country. So I'll hand it back to Santiago.
I think, can you go to the next slide? And I think Maria is gonna talk a little bit about this initiative.
So like Peg mentioned, in 2023, the campaign to reduce chronic absenteeism in Rhode Island was called Attendance Matter, and that was launched into a website. So it's linked in our Rhode Island Department of Education website, but it has its own website. And in this website, there's a lot of resources for schools, for families, and one of those resources is the data. So how is Rhode supporting schools to address chronic absenteeism? As Peg mentioned, one of the ways is with the attendance nudge. That attendance nudge is not only allowed access to principals, but other administrators within the district. And what it allows them is to see the data of chronic absenteeism, who are those students, and then nudge parents by either sending a letter, it can be printouts, and then messages, right? The other one is that we publish interactive data tools, like you will see after this slide, which is like the real-time attendance leaderboard, a calendar heat map that we just started launched this year, and a community dashboard that details also what are the trends in the data. And lastly, but not more less important, is that we're establishing partnerships with municipal leaders, with LEAs and community partners that can to prioritize the address of student chronic absenteeism. So that means that we're developing professional development for LEAs to participate in creating those connections with the municipal leaders, politicians, and community stakeholders.
And some of this professional development is like how to use some of these tools.
How to use the data
to
be data driven.
So yeah, so this is like, we have a lot of different dashboards that if you go to this website, you'll find them, and we'll guide you through some of the dashboards that we developed. But before going through the dashboard, I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole process of developing and some of the ideas that we had and some of the, how we informed the whole process. So first, like, this has been a very iterative process. When we first created like one historical dashboard that showed like the history of chronic absenteeism in Rhode Island. But then after we did that, there are like many different users start to have many different questions and many different things that they wanted to see. So we were like, the dashboard have been refined and new things have been added every year, because it's meant for different audiences. And how we do that is like there's different filters, ways to filter the data by not only by LEAs, by schools, by also by different demographics. But also, like, once you see the data, we use a lot of parameters so that the users can choose how they want the data displayed. We use a lot of color to highlight areas where the users have there's concern. In some of them, we use Tableau data stories, kind of to tell the story of attendance, like in different tabs, to guide the the users of the dashboard into like a story. We try to use simple graphs. We use a lot of bar charts. We use in some cases we use calendars and maps because we know people are familiar with seeing that. And like the hope is like all this data can guide decision making and policy, and at the end help reduce chronic absenteeism. The dashboards include some dashboards that are real-time data, so that with what Peg mentioned, like every day we get the data from the district, so districts can see like a very almost live data of attendance. Right now, the live data is not. I'll show you how it looked at the end of the year last year, because at this point, because the school just started, we haven't put the live data because we still haven't figured out like a lot of this relies like on absence rates, and the schools haven't, like the enrollment is changing. It's until October 1st when we have like a definite enrollment. But yeah, and then as I said, like we've been connecting to other things. So attendance will be connecting into achievements. So we can see some dashboards when we say, like if your chronic absentees or currently absent, how do you do in the state assessments? Are you more or less likely to graduate? And yeah, a lot of different things like that. And we plan to keep building. So we want to connect the data, for example, with the survey data to figure out like, are there any attitudes or perceptions of the student that are more related to chronic absenteeism, or even with post-secondary enrollment, like how does chronic absenteeism affect post-secondary enrollment? But yeah, that's some of the basics of the process of building this dashboard. But now I'm gonna guide you through some of them, and like Maria will like show you like how they've been used in the field. So all of them can be found in many different websites of Rhode, but for you, I think it's easier too, because this focus on attendance. So go to attendancemattersri.org, historical data. And one thing to note before moving is all of these dashboards are public, so all of them have some filters to mask small sizes so that it's not compromised like privacy. So yeah, so the first one that I wanted to check is historical data. So this is the first one, and kind of shows the history of chronic absenteeism, and it's built as a data story. Let me put it bigger so you can see. So yeah, so here's the introduction. Here, if you click in the story first, it goes and shows like the number of students chronically absent and the trend, and you'll see what Peg was talking about, like with the pandemic, chronic absenteeism soared. Fortunately, it's been reducing every year. We get less and less chronically absent students, and part of it, yeah, it's good to be able to track of this. But some of the district have been using some of the information here to help achieve these improvements in attendance.
You know, it's important to show them their Santiago.
Yes. Show them like if you click on a district, it
Oh, yeah.
automatically changes it, so you can look by your school or by your
Oh,
district.
yeah. So, for example, let's go to Central Falls. That is where Maria used to work as an attendance officer. So yeah, and it shows your district, and then so all these filters are interactive, so you can only see the schools within that district, and then you can filter by all of these demographics to figure out like how the students are affected.
Yeah. And I can say that the coolest thing, to put it like that, of a dashboard like this is that it's not only user friendly, but it puts together all the information that normally we would have to go to different places to get, right? So by choosing the LEA or the district, now I can paint a picture to either parents or community stakeholders on how the attendance trend has been in terms of how many students, but also by percentages. So why that is important, as many of you might know, is that when it shows to percentage, it might show maybe a 0.5, but it's important for people to understand how does that translate to humans, to people, right? How many students are affected. So having everything together, it allows you to do that. And then by doing it by LEAs or individual schools, it allows us to compare how we are to peer districts or to peer cities, or even how can you inform trends. The other thing is that having the filter of differently able, MLL, homeless, and foster, mostly more than raise and lunch, it allows us to target interventions. So by this, I can see the trends on a specific group. So now I know that when I'm going to establish goals on a specific groups, who am I going to target? Because I can see the trends in number of students, but also in percentages through the years.
And here number of students and percentages. This is another chart that shows, the next one shows percentages. And one thing that we added in this percentage one is that usually we define chronic absenteeism as being absent 10% or more of the days, but within, there's a huge, like a student can miss barely 10% and be chronically absent, but there's some students that miss more than half the days of school, and they are counted chronically absent. But for this, we wanted to show like, okay, which, like distinguish, like for example, I don't know if you can hear, but for example here, well, 27.6 are chronically absent. Around 3.1% of those missed more than half the days. And so kind of being different categories. And as Maria mentioned, that allows us to, like, strategies are different for students that barely miss 10% or miss more than half the
Yeah,
school
it
days.
allows for a more effective MTSS system, right? When we can tier students, it doesn't mean that the frequently absent are less important or we're not going to target them, but it's the level of intervention that we're going to offer to that group. So as you get, and more important is like towards the efforts of chronic absenteeism, I normally tell people that yes, what we want to decrease as the numbers. And after COVID, you can see that extremely absent, which is kids are missing 50% or more, it has decreased significantly for what it was COVID. So when we look and we compare back to pre-COVID, and this is like how I use this, if we're looking to compare to pre-COVID, we can see that specific groups like the extremely absent is almost to what it was before, but what it has varied is the other groups. So again, it allows us to identify tiers of intervention to be more effective.
Right. So that was the first one that we want to show. Now we're going to go quickly through other of the dashboards. The other one that I want to show is this one, is data by town and neighborhood. And this one uses the students. So as part of the data submissions, we get the addresses where the students live. So we map that to census tracts and block groups to see like where do the students that are chronically absent live within the different neighborhoods. And that's and I think Maria can talk a little bit about how to be useful. So I'm gonna put Central Falls.
Yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm.
So if I put Central Falls here, so it just show the census tracts in Central Falls.
And can you show in the display to the schools?
Yeah.
So the way that I use this dashboard, it was very specific. So when you choose to display the schools, now I can see where is the population of chronic absenteeism based to the school distance. And how did I use this? It was to inform transportation decisions. So now I started to see in that district, transportation is offered for students from pre-K to second. So the second grade. So this allowed me to see that the most majority of students are absent, chronically absent with 10% or more, are farther from the core of the schools. So that already makes me, I can assume that this is related to transportation and how far or the distance from the school to the kids are related. But also to target, because what I did is that I said, okay, so I can see that the darkened areas are farther away from the core of schools, but now I'm going to look into my internal data because I can almost ensure that these kids are above second grade, because transportation is given to those until second grade. So now I can use this to go to my administration and say, maybe we need to revise the transportation policy to expand it to certain grades, and that would probably help to the chronic absenteeism based on distance from the schools.
Yeah, and there's different, as all the other dashboards, there you can filter by different characteristics, and also you can change here if you want to change the criteria to being chronically absent. So maybe you want to see where the students that are 50% more, and it'll show you that. So yeah, so this is the second one. Let's go to another one. The third one is, let's do the heat map. Yeah, and this is one that, as I said, every year we add new things and improve the other ones. This one was just launched, and currently it's not just shows the whole year of last year, but the idea is to, once we have better data for this year, it's going to be updated daily to see what are the the attendance rates by day. So yeah, we use the idea like people are familiar with a calendar, so we just used a heat map for that to show like which days are more, there's less students attending, and which days are more students attending, and show like which ones, yeah. So maybe if Maria can talk a little bit more about that.
So you don't understand how exciting this is because when we're talking about chronic absenteeism work, the idea is that we partner and engage districts to create interventions and targeting populations, but we don't want to add more work than what they already have. So in the past, without having this, what it would translate is that I will have to work with the data coordinator to start like maybe checking what are the trends between like 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, or wait until the end of the school year to then target interventions based on days. So having this in a map, it allows for the work to be more effective. Instead of working harder, you're working smarter, because now I can create interventions based on this color. So I already know that the calendar is showing me that the beginning of the school year is strong, right? But something happens during the breaks, as we should know, right? The third and fourth quarter are a little bit more challenging when it comes to the breaks. But also, what is the trends for the first day of school and what are the trends for the last day of school? So now I can see that the last day of school, there's a lot of oranges and reds. So how can I create interventions at the school level to engage students to attend more during those days? So does that mean that maybe the Monday after a break, we're going to start a school spirit week, right? Or we're going to do a good attendance event to promote students being in school more than that. So yeah, having this in a one place that I don't have to go to 4 different places to collect the data, and then after collecting it, I have to analyze it to then present it. This already did everything for me. This already like collected the data, analyzed it, and then put it in a picture that is easy to explain to any population. So this is easy to understand, not just for educators, but also to families, students, and community partners.
And you can see like so here I put Central Falls, and you can see like by days, like okay, what, for example, here you see
Right after
this,
school break,
yeah,
Right after the breaks, yeah.
right after the break, yeah.
So this past year, that week of the 16th was the week, like the last day of school was that 20th. And that's when you notice that it's right before Christmas break. And that's when we see a lot of absenteeism for family traveling. So now we need to, okay, so that happened, how we're gonna plan for that? You can see the same thing during Fridays. As you notice, like Fridays are kind of challenging for the district. So something is happening on Fridays more than Mondays that students are discouraged to attend, right? And what is that? So it allows us to go back to climate and culture to see how we engage students, but also to address with community leaders what's happening in the city during those days that might also be holding students from attending school. So not just maybe an internal root cause, but it could be also external. But now we have the graphics to share and to intervene to create plans of intervention based on those dollars.
And all of this data, all of the district data is here. So when you hover, well, even though you chose Central Falls, it shows you when you hover over, it'll show you it compared to show you how many LEAs across the state were in session, what was the attendance rate for the state in that same day to compare. And also like for these days that there's no school, it'll show you, okay, what's the reason why there's no school. For example, here, we can see that this was a professional day. Sometimes we see like snow days, but yeah, this is the second one. Let's move to, let me see. Yeah, I think
real time, right?
Yeah, I'll put one more. What did I do? Did I stop sharing?
Yeah, no.
Not there. Okay, let me go to another one, real-time data. So this one again, will be real-time data. Right now it's showing the whole year of last year. And it just shows in detail like, okay, absences by school day and compares to the previous year. So it'll show like, so they can track across the year how they're compared to the previous year. So then this is the number of absences. Let me do it by quarters because I think it shows better how by quarters it was better. You can see an improvement and see in which quarters the attendance was better compared to the previous year.
It always changes by the third.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then we have this one showing like a more detailed data of the attendance. In our collection, we get a lot of details about like what was the reason of absence. Unfortunately, that data is not every district has the reason like this, the reason of absence, they don't provide always why it is. Many times it just is a known reason, but here you can just see by day, like not only absences, by early dismissals and tardy, and see the trends. For example, here yesterday when we were preparing for this meeting, we saw like, okay, here's the day where there was more absences in the state, and we checked, and it was like there was bad weather that day, so that was one of the reasons of that. And let me check. Do you have anything to say about this one?
No, I was saying that this one, like similar to the heat map, what it allows is to also create target interventions to groups. So now I can see that maybe this is specific day, or even to check in a chunk, like in a quarter, whatever. What was the reasons for absences that were reported? So if I see an increase in illness, then now I know that I have to engage school nurses, community members on how to address what's going on in the city. Maybe it's because of the weather or whatever reason. A lot of times in the schools it's because it's flu season and everybody's spreading it. But now we can see those reasons and create target interventions for it. So even though that is sadly true that not every district in the state report all the types, but it should be best practice to do that because of this, because it allows you to be even more detailed when it comes to interventions.
And I would just add one thing to this, is that we've never actually posted early dismissal and tardy data.
Yes.
So even if you're getting your chronic absenteeism better, right, you're
Yes.
working on that, it's important for schools and districts to realize that, you know, if a kid comes in 3 hours late or leaves 3 hours early, it's still missing school. So
Yeah.
it's not just chronic absenteeism, it's shining a light on all those kids that are, look at all those kids that are tardy, right? That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
That time matters.
And one of the things that we did is like in my district was that 3 years ago we were dismissing, like Wednesdays were for professional development, right? So by having this data, we noticed that those days that there was early dismissal, the chronic absenteeism went up. Like a lot of students would miss the day completely because it was hard for parents to plan for just half a day, right? So they didn't see a reason just to send the kids to school for 3 hours. So all those, like the number of students absent that day was significantly for reason unknown, which is unexcused, right? But it translated to babysitting, daycare, transportation issues. So then the district was able to inform for the following year, then we're not going to do half a days for professional development anymore because it increased the number of students that were absent. So then let's choose another time. Maybe we'll do just one full day in the quarter or one full day in the month. So that way we're limiting the amount of students that are absent to half a days.
Let me show this one, the last one, because this one, the achievement one. Just quickly, because it's, as I said at the beginning, we're trying to combine with other data, the attendance with other data, and here it combines with achievement data, which tells the story of why we care about chronic absenteeism. So this shows, while it loads, it will show like how, if you're more chronically absent, you're much less likely to be proficient on the different state assessments. So just let's look at this one bigger. So yeah, so here it shows like the students that were not chronically absent were 34.5% were proficient in RICAS, while 16.6% of the chronically absent were proficient in RICAS ELA. And this is the state exam that it's given to 3 to 8. Mm-hmm. And you can see also by more detailed data before detailed categories. So it also shows like if you are absent more time, then you are less likely to be proficient. So here it just shows like if you are less than 10%. So here you see the students that were absent more than 50%, like they're almost all of them either did not meet the expectations or partially met the expectations. And I know, Maria, you had something.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say specifically about this dashboard is that even though when you look into the detail, it shows you by percentage of chronic absenteeism how the student did, it highlights or uplifts something that is not like in discussion right now. So for example, by looking at this, I can see, okay, so there's a correlation between chronic absenteeism and achievement, but also this might be uplifting something different, because how can it be that a student that is 50% or more of the time chronically absent is still meeting expectations? So now I have to look and do some intrinsic work when it comes to climate and culture. So it's not just the fact that the kid is absent and is not achieving, but if you're able to achieve, then there's something going here, because then the reason for the chronic absenteeism might be related to climate and culture, or it could be related to challenging curriculum and practices. So it allows me to actually think about things that normally I wouldn't put together, and to do more in-depth research about it, or how to support students so they can be here in time in school and just achieve and like succeed in whatever it is that we want them academically.
Thank you, Yeah, this is what we wanted to share with you. We're gonna stop sharing, and we have David. We have time for questions, or at the end, or maybe there are questions while we.
No, you've got time. Yeah, you've got time for questions now. You've got a lot of excitement and happiness for your work in the chat. People want to know, have some questions here. Let me read the questions out for you as they came in here. First, a lot of praise or great dashboards. Well done. Addison would like to know, with tooltips and accessibility issues within them, with tooltips and accessibility issues within them, how can this data be seen by screen readers?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're not sure, and we have had discussions about like how to make this more like accessible to people that cannot distinguish colors. But yeah, that's something that's been in our minds. We try, hopefully the screen readers read the tooltips, because we don't know if the colors are.
I'll say the colors are problematic because all the work out there says you don't do the red and green anymore. Like that's so like you're not supposed to do it, and yet everyone understands it. And so leadership here is still very, very interested in maintaining that sort of red-green structure, because it is so understandable to everybody. And if you look at the colorblind colors, they don't have that same sort of connotation. So we've got to figure that out. We're doing it in other work, and hopefully it transcends to this work. But I think it's probably a problem for everybody right now.
And it's a real problem. I am colorblind, so I don't distinguish between shades of orange or red. For me, they're all similar, like the same. So I cannot, by looking at our heat map, I can distinguish the shades of green, but the oranges or red, whichever it is, they all look the same to me, right? So I think that it is a real problem, and we're aware of it, because of course, I am one of the audiences. I just think that the challenge for them is how to go away from it so it can be more accessible to people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the questions. Michaela seconds it and says, in the middle of building a dashboard for public facing for their community, and it's also have questions and concerns about accessibility. Good news is next in November, our next K12 is about accessibility. We're going to have an expert from MIT on terms of how to help make more accessibility. There are some good resources on the Tableau website. As you alluded to, color blindness is a major one, and there are colorblind palettes. But of course, you do have to convince those above who commission your work to say, hey, this is really important. So I'm glad you're advocating for it. In terms of the tooltips, I don't remember off the top of my head. I have to look that up. But I know Tableau is trying to work on accessibility issues as well. For that, they're more accessible than they used to be, but definitely keep working on that for all of our audiences. Appreciate those questions. Great dashboard, says Ginny. Impressive works, says Jean-Juan. Would you share more about how automated data transmission was established in Rhode Island in 2008? Virginia's not even there yet in 2025.
Oh my goodness. So we actually were able to develop it as part of the statewide longitudinal data systems grant. And we actually worked, I was not part of the original development of it, but I was here when it was developed. And it was literally developed in-house as a pipeline between our data warehouse and each of the LEA's student information systems. So they go and actually kind of put a plug in on the student information system at the LEA that allows it to just literally upload its data every single night to us in an automatic transfer. We have worked with, I believe, DC, because as part of the statewide longitudinal data system grant, all of our work is free. Like we develop it as part of a cooperative agreement. So if anyone more interested in information, I'm sure we would be happy to share how we did it and give any information to help them do it themselves.
Yeah, and for the State Department folks out there using Tableau, it's a wonderful tool. We use it here in Washington. I'm not part of the State Department, but I know, and those longitudinal grants from the feds have been terrific, but there's a really great partnership, so kind of reach out. That's another part of the community, not just if they're not even using Tableau, it doesn't matter, reach out how that's impactful, because really, I mean, we're going to go to more compliments, but these are really great stuff. I love the maps. I love how you've designed it and gotten deep, and I really appreciate you sharing how you've done the interventions. So data is there, but it's useless unless you do something about it. Otherwise, it's just like nice to look at. But I'm really glad how you talked about interventions for the early learning childhood and the busing routes and all that sort of stuff. So I'm glad that's happening. Jonathan says, I can imagine others might want to replicate some of these dashboards because they're so beautiful. My editorial, because they're so beautiful. How shareable are the structures of these so that others might be able to benefit from this great work? And I add, for example, are these on Tableau Public so you could download them?
I have to, because all of the, like, it's connected directly to our data system. So the underlying data is student level data, so it's not, we have it in our server, and it'll be in public. But let me think about that, like if there's something that I can change so that it's like maybe just an aggregate of fake data so I can share the structure that.
And Santiago, you'd be willing to, if others want to reach out to you, you'd be okay with that?
Yeah, perfect, yeah, be happy. And then I also share, like, there's, as you know, like there's many YouTube videos where they can, I just look for how to make a heat map, a calendar heat map, and from the YouTube video of how to do it. I changed a little bit how they describe it because of the nature of my data, but yeah, like there's a lot of resources available to help for all of that. But yeah, if anyone's interested in any of these dashboards, just email me and I'll find a way to share something with fake data or with something that's shareable.
Terrific. And then some more. Thank you, Cody and Ryan, for asking about accessibility in Tableau. And Cody comes in the chat and tells us Tableau has built-in accessibility capabilities for screen readers. Cody's in ed tech, and that was a key consideration for them using Tableau. And 25.3 has additional accessibility enhancements. So yes, if you have been using Tableau for a while, but you haven't been able to upgrade, as you upgrade, more and more enhancements get in. Ryan says AZ, Arizona's using Ed5 as well. But I do want to thank you very much. We're going to save time for the folks from AZ and Gilbert, and a round of applause again for you all in Rhode Island. Really appreciate all your great work. We're going to hand it over now to Peter in Arizona. Cross country, everybody go across the country, over to Peter, changing time zones. And take it away, Peter and team.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. It's David earlier said it's the end of summer, but not quite here out in Arizona. We're still at a high of 99 today, which is relatively good for us. My name is Peter Bartanen. I'm the senior data analyst for our school district. I'm here with Michaela Fernandez, our data analyst, and Justine Ingram, who's our data strategist. And we're excited to share a little bit about us and some of the work that we've done, especially over the past couple of years. So a little bit about our district. We're located southeast of Phoenix, Arizona. We're a relatively large district, one of the largest in the state, with about 30,000 students and 26 elementary schools, 6 high schools, 5 junior highs, and a couple other specialty schools. And we serve students in parts of Gilbert proper, but also Mesa, Arizona, and Chandler, Arizona. So we're kind of spread out and get the opportunity to serve a lot of students. A little bit about our team. We came together. The three of us specifically lived in different areas of the district up until the beginning of last school year, when we had the opportunity to come together under the new mantle of the data and research team. So the three of us came together along with our programming team, our student information team, our state reporting team and the programmers to form what we call the data and research team for our district. So we're responsible for a lot, but being together under one roof and under the mantle of technology services has allowed us to really collaborate and be together all on one page, and I think has made our work even stronger. As with any school district, we have a lot of systems, and our work, a lot of our work is trying to bring together data from across different assessment platforms and curriculum platforms. We're an Infinite Campus district. Infinite Campus has been great for us. Our programmers have been able to build some custom things in Infinite Campus to support our Tableau implementations, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. We've got lots of assessment systems. We're a Microsoft SQL Server district, and we're utilizing Tableau Cloud. And most recently this year, we picked up Asana for managing all of the data requests and projects that our team takes on, and that tool has been really nice to be able to calendar out the work that we need, but also efficiently bring in or take in data requests and just all the feedback that people have, and make sure that we're able to kind of handle it and do that efficiently. We've been with Tableau since about 2021. In 2022, we hired our first full-time data analyst. That's Michaela, who started expanding Tableau resources really on her own. And I mentioned in 2024, our full team came together, and for this year, we've acquired our site license for our district, and we're working right now to go all the way down to the teacher level. So the theme of what I want to talk about today, and really our work over the past 2 years plus, is thinking about our data and our dashboards from 3 different audiences and 3 different levels, right? It goes, it starts with what data do each of these groups need, but also gets really specific into what does security look like, right? How do I make sure that district level people are seeing what they're supposed to see, and course level teachers are seeing what they're supposed to see, and everywhere in between. So that's been really both a challenge, but also we've found some really nice opportunities to give people the data they need while making sure that our data is secure. So today I want to show really 2 of these 3 dashboards, but when thinking about beginning of the year tools that have really had an impact for our users, these 3 came to our team's mind. I'll start by showing the school data hub, which has replaced the default Tableau Cloud view of all the folders on the white background, and given users a nice place to start and easily find everything that they need. We developed a student profile, which I'm not going to go into today, but I call it the baseball card visualization, which it contains everything that we know about each of our students in a kind of single scrollable page. We have everything from enrollment data to attendance, assessment, and graduation data, and a whole lot more. And then lastly, I will go into our state testing dashboard. It's the time of year where we're kind of in the mode of figuring out, okay, how did we do last year, and but also what do we need to know about our kids going into this year, and what can we prepare based on what they did last year. So this dashboard is going to be great for that. I saw that David put it in the chat. I want to just call out that we found this resource from Lisa Truscott sometime last year, all about user interface and some tricks for building some of those things into Tableau, and that's been really instrumental in improving the user experience of Tableau. When we started off, we heard a lot about, especially from principals and instructional coaches who are super busy, but that getting into Tableau and trying to find what they need was hard, and so using some of these UI tips, and really thinking about the user and the user experience. We've gotten some really great compliments about how usable our tools now are, and how much easier it is to find data. So let me jump out of the slide deck here and over to our first dashboard, which is our school data hub. You can see here, this dashboard has a couple purposes. Its first purpose is to kind of show the 30,000 foot view of a school's data, right? And so the common things that we get asked, well, what's my enrollment looking like? What are my special programs? How do they compare to the district, right? And so you can see here, we give them specific data about their school and how they compare to our district as a whole. We've got chronic absentee data in here, move on when reading, which is our third grade reading requirement. We've got attendance rates. We've got a way for them to look kind of overall at school discipline, as well as staff level data, their teacher absences overall, and then by day. The second purpose of this dashboard is to give people a easy way to find the data they're looking for. We ended up making this the default homepage for all of our Tableau users. So whichever user, from the superintendent all the way down to a coordinator or a principal or a coach, when they log into Tableau, this is what they see. So it's been really nice having a common place that we can just tell people, go to the hub, and you'll be able to find what you need. We built in these menus over here on the left-hand side, that have links that go out to specific dashboards that are most relevant to them. The nice thing about this menu is it's dynamically generated, right? When we have elementary schools, junior highs, and high schools and district people all accessing the same page, obviously their data needs are very different. So this menu is generated using a table in our SQL Server, that essentially looks at the school field and says, okay, if this is an elementary, I'm going to show all of the elementary links. So all of these pop out, and all of these are links that are relevant to the type of school that is selected. And obviously, and it was a task, but we were able to set up the security so that people are directed right to their school, and don't have access to others. So that's our school data hub. I'm going to flip over now to our state assessment dashboard. And this one, Michaela put a ton of work in on this one, and has gotten a ton of really good feedback. So I mentioned that with state assessments, like now is the time where we're doing a postmortem on last year, while also trying to figure out what do our kids need going into this year. And so you can see across the top, there's a ton of different views that users have to look at this data and figure out what it means. But one of the biggest innovations that she did when she kind of renovated it this year was this blue bar that has 3 filters in it, which allows users to look at data for the past 3 years, but also to look at data for last year's kids or this year's kids, or in May and June, when they're starting to look ahead to next year, they can look at data for next year's kids. And that's been a really big deal, right? And it's been a big request to be able to see who are the kids that are coming to me, and what does their data look like. As we scroll through this first page here, obviously we have a breakdown of overall performance, but there's another piece here called our bubble distribution graph, which has been super valuable, and really speaks to the strategy of using this assessment data. what this graph is showing is it's a dual axis, right? And so the background are the horizontal bars, which show the different cut scores for each proficiency. So if I hover over the red, it shows the cut score for minimally proficient, yellow for partially proficient, green, light green for proficient, and dark green for highly proficient. And each of these bubbles represents students. And so when we trained all of our campuses and all of our district users on kind of the strategy behind using this, one of the examples we gave was like, let's look at the border between minimally proficient and partially proficient, or partially proficient and proficient, and let's identify the students who are falling at those levels. And so one of the nice features about this is the ability to drag a box around a certain bubble or certain group of bubbles and use the student list up here to figure out who those students are. Another kind of tech tip or tool that we've built in is Tableau's custom extension of I think it's called Tableau Table, which like we've put these almost everywhere to allow our users to get a list of students, but also be able to download that list of students quickly and easily. As we go through here, we've got a set of collapsible sections. So as you all know, working with Tableau, it's really easy to pack in a ton of data all into one place. And we know that leads to very quickly to data overload. And so one of the tech tools on Lisa Trescott's site that I mentioned earlier was to have this organization where you can pop open sections based on what you want to see. So we've got a section for reporting categories and clusters. And if I scroll here, we can pop open a different section for writing and a different section for oral reading fluency. So tons of data packed in here, and it's all important. Again, this is really a K12 dashboard. And so some of these are more important to some than others. But the ability to kind of toggle different views to get the data that I actually want to see and kind of ignore the rest has been really positive. I'm not going to go through all these pages, but looking at our district summary, our district with all of our schools uses what we call the continuous improvement process. There's something probably similar that everybody does, but as part of that process, schools are asked to look at this data both as a whole, but also down to subgroups and cohorts as well. And so we give all of our school principals and instructional coaches access to look deeply, not only at their own school, but also at the district data. So they can switch just by the click of a button over from their data to look at, okay, how's our district doing as a whole? And where are the gaps and strengths in writing and the different reporting categories. And this is relatively new this year, we give users the ability to go deep into teachers and really look at how are our teachers performing, and again, being able to put in the bubbles for the bubble graphs for each of those teachers so that they can dig in as they're having conversations with teacher teams or PLCs to really say, okay, fourth grade team, this is how our data came in last year. Or if I switch my filter up here, I can see here's what your kids are coming to you with. Let's talk strategy around who these students are, where they're at, and what they might need. Okay, Michaela, is there anything else I missed on that one? Do you want to talk about?
The only other thing I would add, specifically the upper portion here, when we look at our courses, we have a variety of different course offerings throughout our district. Now, this particular campus that's pulled up, not a real campus that we have, but they only offer on-level courses. Peter, if you want to switch that school, to one of our other fake schools. Let's go for Saguaro. And so if we look at this school, for example, we can see that their fourth graders last year who took this test are currently sitting in fifth grade, and they could be taking like honors reading or their on-level reading, and they get to see that comparison piece of how students perform across those different levels of courses.
Absolutely. Thanks. All right. We've obviously got tons of data in there, but didn't want to overwhelm you all. But thinking about what's next for us, as I mentioned earlier, we've now been able to purchase a site license for all of our teachers, and so we've developed kind of 3 dashboards to start with for teachers: an ability for them to look at their class, an ability for them to look at a specific assessment and dive into standards analysis to see how students performed on each standard, as well as a virtual data wall for ELA, math, as well as early reading. So we're in the process right now of piloting that with just 4 of our schools, getting lots of feedback from them. Part of that feedback has been developing our own Tableau user groups. And so we've developed 3 that we're meeting with every month or so to both train and get feedback and really adjust what we're doing in Tableau or doing with our trainings to make sure that this rollout is successful for everyone. And I mentioned earlier, more users equals more security. And so a lot of our work has been and continues to be figuring out how to most efficiently manage the different roles and exceptions and security across all of our dashboards. So one of the just lessons that we learned is that we started out by using virtual connections to handle all the security, but that didn't allow us to show users district level data, which we wanted to do no matter what security level. And so we figured out a way to do it using a filter within each Tableau dashboard, which has been really, really helpful. And that's all I've got, David. I'll take any questions.
There we go. I got sticky keys. Oh, that's terrific. Thank you, Team Gilbert. That's really, really nice. So I have a question. Give people a chance to type in. I really like I wrote in the chat there, I really like the bubble on the bubble, students on the bubble. It's great to have that visibility for people. We also use that tool, not the bubble tool, but the tool to create a list of students automatically for folks. That's terrific. I'm glad that you shared the inspiration from Lisa that you've got there. Again, showing the Tableau community can really get you going pretty quick. Now, your own backgrounds you've got going there. What are your own kind of backgrounds yourselves as users that made Tableau easier or harder to get used to?
Yeah, so I grew up a teacher. So I was a teacher and a school administrator. I worked in our online school for 6 or 7 years before jumping over here to the data team. Michaela, you want to mention yours?
Yeah, so I also come from a teaching background. I actually taught for 7 years in secondary math. My collegial background is degrees in math, statistics, and then education. And so I decided it was time for a career change and hopped over into data analytics because I really do love that statistics side of things and wanted to get more involved with that. Obviously, I do still love the education sector. I wouldn't have gone into teaching if I didn't. So I'm lucky enough to still be here in education and doing what I love in the statistics realm and still helping teachers and schools and getting kids where they need to be, hopefully.
Justine?
This is my 15th year. I started in Gilbert as a teacher, and then I was an administrator and running like specialized programming within the districts. And then I was building out like Excel sheets for like counseling departments at high schools to keep track of their at-risk seniors and juniors. And that's when the district said, hey, we like that skill set, bring it over here. And so that's how I got into it.
Yeah, that's terrific. I mean, that's why I remember. I got to meet the Gilbert team for the first time at the Tableau conference this past, whatever it was, April or May in San Diego, and they said, "Hey, we want to present." So I knew your backgrounds a little bit. Of the backgrounds were the ones like that, and just to share with the family. You don't, aside from Michaela, who's had a different major in college than me. I was a French major. So if you really like data and you like getting into it, Tableau can be accessible for you. We've given people time, in addition to giving some compliments, to have some questions here. Kristen Cole out there is a former elementary teacher as well. Exclamation, exclamation. Frank says, bubble plots are great enhancements to the standard quartile quintile breakdown in assessment results. And yeah, I would say I really like those bubble plots with that. Because it also the kind of quartile quintile. I have been, still am, but I'm getting away from being a fan of those box and whisker plots, and that bubble within a bubble, I think, does an even better job of displaying that than a box and whisker plot. But Karen asks, how can you generate a list of students based on where you click in a viz? Can you share a bit about how you do that?
Peter, do you want me to take this one?
Yes, please take this one. I'm going to share the screen in case you want to
Yeah,
reference it.
absolutely. So it's really just a filter action in Tableau. So when you're setting up your dashboard actions, one of those is a filter action. And so I have it set up that it's going to use really any of these views that you see as that filter. So once you click a bubble or you drag around several bubbles, essentially what that filter action does is it identifies the scale score that's associated with that bubble. And then it uses that as the filter in addition to the grade level that's been highlighted or selected. So once you click into that student list, which is just a show hide, that filter has then acted on this page here to only show students who have that relevant scale score.
And I am just looking up now, copying and pasting the filter action link from the help section here. Those are also really good. I did the same for the, did I add it? Oh, no, I just Control V. There we go. I just did a V. There we go. For the filter actions, again, a lot of this stuff you can look up online, and it's great to see it live, to see what so appreciate you showing that so you can actually see what happens. And again, you seemed friendly back in April. Is it okay if people reach out to you directly?
Absolutely. We'd love to partner with anybody and share tips and tricks.
Okay. So let's see, where am I now? So now I'm going to, let's see, we've got some Q&A question here. Bart in the Q&A said, so would you say that, would you say that you apply data security at the database level and not use Tableau security?
So we started at the database level. We started by making a virtual, essentially setting up a virtual connection, and then made, for example, our students table part of that virtual connection, so that every time we reference a student, we go check that virtual connection to see whether the user has permission or not. But what we found when doing that was A, it was slow and cumbersome, at least for us. But B, if I only have access to that student, I can't get any summary level data for any other student. So if I work at Saguaro Elementary, for example, I can't see, okay, well, great, my school got 60% proficient. Well, how did the rest of the district do, or how did the other schools do? And so what we ended up doing for those instances, as well as our teacher dashboards, is I set it up within each project or within each workbook. So on each worksheet of a project, I've got a filter in there that says that essentially checks to see whether the user has access to the student. And by doing that, you can use forgetting the name of the you can use the bracketed, what's that called? Sorry.
Level of
Anyway,
detail?
the exclude or include
Yeah,
level of detail. There you
function.
go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.
You can use the level of detail formula to essentially ignore that check and so calculate the summary data without limiting who you're technically allowed to access.
Yeah, so great question on from that. Thanks for that question. A good explanation. There's some technical bits, but kind of drawing back, there's different ways to do security. You can do that row level security. You can have it from your Active Directory is partly what we do, but we also use groups within Tableau to make sure that people who are part of different groups can see certain amounts of data on their own or full data access for the full school. So there's lots of ways to set those up. And we also have in our dashboards a particular filter, so the filter uses the Tableau security as well. But depending on your own setup, will be helpful for you to figure it out. Reach out to those. You're an infinite campus, right? And you have a bunch of other stuff. So and Raquel says use groups to set permissions as well. Yeah, we can talk about this. And Raquel also says is member of can be really helpful.
So we use a combination.
Member of,
yeah, we use a combination. So like our district people and principals are in a single group that essentially has access to everything. But our teachers, for example, we have to be more specific. And so that's where we use is member of or this or, so it's a pretty complicated formula to do that security.
Yeah, and Bart says thank you he was the one that asked the question. Thank you, Bart. So now I promised gift cards, and I think I finally figured it out. So we're going to get to the exciting part here, where we want to thank again all the great presenters here. Thank you, the team from Gilbert. Thank you, the team from Rhode Island. We got coast to coast here. Wonderful. And now get yourselves ready, and we will see how I do sharing my screen again. And getting things set up. I think I got it all set up here. We got to get to the right spot. Where am I set up? Oh, yeah, I'm set up here. Okay, so this was the filter actions I got you there. But now we have in this place also the wheel of names. So we've got two to hand out here. We've got two to hand out. So I've just got to adjust my screen, don't adjust yours. We love data, and let's see who gets that first $50 gift card. Round and round and round she goes. Where she stops, we're about to know that the first winner is Stephen gets in there. Hooray, Stephen. So Stephen, we'll make sure that you get one of the cards. Reach out to me. I'll put my email address in the chat at the end. So Stephen, we've got you in there, but Stephen, you can't win twice. So we're going to remove you for a moment and we're going to spin for the second gift card. Thank you for staying all the way around. And we have got, yes, and it's Catherine. No, wait. Oh my gosh. So I thought I was wrong. So Jameis gets it this time. Sorry, it looked so close, but that was a really close one. So Jameis, sorry, Catherine, but hope you all come back for the next time. We've got Catherine there, and we are now ready for any other questions or compliments that you have before we go. We've got thank yous. We've got happiness. Yes, Catherine gave me like, oh no sign, and Jameis gave us that. Like, so as the winners, feel free to reach out to me. We are glad that you're here. Let me get to my name here. So reach out to me. Again, if you have interest in being part of our team here, reach out. We've got one person who said they're really interested. So we'll have hopefully a new team leader in February. And I want to remind you that we have more coming up. We do have an accessibility coming up on November 19th. More dates after that. If you're interested in presenting, feel free to reach out to me, david.ogden@rentonschools.us, for those of you watching online who weren't able to see our chat. And also, we wanted you to know that we've got the great sponsor here, Plant Moran. They're a one-stop shop. If you have questions about cloud or other things, Tableau, feel free to reach out to them. Stefan will be back next time. And thank you. We really appreciate you being part of the community. And again, thank you, the team from Rhode Island. Thank you from the team from Gilbert, Arizona. We hope to see you in the future. This stops the recording, but if you have other questions and you want to stay online, we've got lots of thanks coming through here. Feel free to ask.